Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own Rayman Raving Rabbids levels within the CPA engine, aka the Rayman 2 engine, aka the Rayman Free, Tiny Trouble engine, whatever you want to call it. It's called the CPA engine, aka Common Programming Architecture from what I heard. So in the last video I showed a custom level that I made inspired by the Rayman Raving Rabbids prototype trailer, and a lot of you seem to like it. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own custom geometry and in turn a custom level. You'll need a few things to start off. You'll need 3D modeling software. You need some modeling skills in order to make a level because we're technically making a 3D environment here. You'll need 3ds Max 8, which you'll need to properly export and import the level into the editor. The next thing you'll need is Photoshop or any other image editing software to be able to convert the textures for your level to the proper format for the editor. So I think we can actually start right now. We're going to be making a very simple level. Like I said, if you have any other 3D modeling software and you have been 3D modeling before, you already kind of know what kind of level you want to make. But the way you export these levels will be a little bit different than certain other models that you would be exporting normally. So we're going to press Ctrl A here. We're going to start off with a plane, a simple little plane right here that's going to be used as our, not ground, but I guess as a pit in a sense. I already have like an idea for what I want to do here. We're going to be making a simple level, by the way, a very simple level just to get the point across. Let's have a little cube here. By the way, a few tips going into this. When you're making a level for the engine, make sure that the starting position of your level is in the very middle right here. Same goes for 3ds Max when we import that later. And also, of course, everything that I'll be using in this video that is not normally or easily available will be put in the description. So yeah, let's actually make this smaller a little bit here. And let me just do this. I'm gonna have this be the first platform here. Oh, by the way, I actually forgot. I'm also going to add something else in the files, which is a little Rayman size reference. So yeah, this is just, like I said, a reference to tell how big Rayman will be compared to your level in the editor. Just a little reference right here. And so yeah, let's actually see. Let's move this a little bit. This a little bit over here. Doesn't have to be like at the very middle. All right, there we go. Let's add a few more platforms here. Just a few simple platforms. We're gonna be doing some camera turning in this, and then we're gonna make a new one. We're gonna make the ending point of our level right here. I think that's fine enough. Maybe make this a little bit longer. Alright, so we made a little level. Just so we don't look into the void in the background, let's add a skybox. Quite a literal skybox right here. We'll make this skybox invisible until we properly try and export everything. We're gonna rename this to Sky, I guess. Yeah, maybe slightly, maybe a bit more. It doesn't have to be that big. So we have our little skybox there, which we will turn off so we can texture our platforms right here. And now what's important to know is that when importing levels into 3ds Max to be able to properly convert them into the editor, you must not export everything like this. What you have to do is that for every texture that you use, you combine every object that uses the same texture as one. So what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be using the same texture for all of the platforms right here. We're going to be right-clicking here and join. And we're going to call these platforms. This is very important, especially for texturing and some other stuff later down the line. We're going to be making the plane the sea because I'm going to be adding a sea texture under here. Another thing to keep in mind is that texturing in Blender or any 3D modeling software before entering 3ds Max is only used for referencing and for the UV mapping, unless you already know how to use 3ds Max 8 specifically. It's a very old version of 3ds Max, so that's why I will actually be giving installation files for it and a crack for it as well, because well, you know, I don't think anyone wants to buy an old piece of software like that. So I'm going to be looking for my textures that I have here for the tutorial level. The wood here is for the platforms. Actually, I chose the sea, so we're gonna have the sea here. As you can see, we don't need anything else, to be honest, other than this. We don't need even need to have smooth shading for this, because it won't really matter once we import it into 3ds Max. Blip. All right, I think that's fine enough. And now the sky, which was invisible previously. Here, the sky texture right here. All right, do we need any UV? Oh, we definitely need to UV edit this one. Another cautious thing to keep in mind while UV editing your object: do not go outside the boundaries of the image. Don't do this. Everything here outside of the image will just be smushed in the editor when it's converted. I don't know why that happens, just don't do it. Keep it inside the boundaries of the image, which technically also means that seamless textures don't do shit. You don't even need a seamless texture to have, like, well, anything proper here. I think inside it looks pretty fine, not gonna lie. We have our little crusty skybox right there. And I think that is actually it for the level. We can see how big Rayman will be compared to everything. And we see where our goal is, which is right here. Yeah, I think that's fun enough. Let's actually move on to the exporting process. So again, for every material and texture you use for this, each texture equals one object to export. So yeah, so if anything uses the same texture, combine it all into one object, like this, like so. Now, we're going to be exporting each object separately. Let's first go with the sea. We're going to be exporting it as OBJ. It's important that you export it to OBJ due to 3ds Max 8 not really supporting too many modern formats. I think it supports FBX, but not this more modern version. We're going to be putting the OBJs here. So this one's called sea. We're going to be putting it here, and instead of object as, we're going to be limiting to selection only right here. Export OBJ. I think that's good enough. Before we get into 3ds Max, there'll be some important things for you to do, so let's get into that right now. So the next thing we will be doing right now is making sure that our level textures work properly for the level editor. And the way to do that is to make your images have index colors and to convert them into a TGA file format, which we'll be doing right here inside of GIMP. This might work the same in Photoshop, it might work the same for other image editing software, but if it doesn't, then you can probably look up how to do it inside of your image editing software. We're going to be doing here is for GIMP users, I guess. So if anyone uses GIMP, just follow me, just follow my lead. We're going to be doing the sea texture first. And also, another thing to keep in mind is to make sure your textures are a proper resolution and not whatever the heck this is. I just got this image off the internet, so that's why it's in a weird resolution. Let's make this 256 by 256. We're going to lock this out. 256, and I think that's good. Scale. There we go. We're going to go into image, mode, indexed. Now, if you're using GIMP, make sure that enable differing of transparency is turned off, and have the maximum number of colors be 255 or 256. I'll just keep it as 255 just in case right now. So let's convert it. There we go. Now our image has been converted. We're going to be exporting as TGA image right here. Targa image export. Make sure RLE compression is turned off and export. Now we're going to do the same for the other textures as well. So now we're done with the textures. Now we're gonna have to put them in the right spot. This is where the files of the editor come in. Once you get the files from the download, you'll have the CPA editor folder, which contains two folders, Apply and Editor. The editor is where you'll be doing most of your stuff, but you'll need that Apply folder for later. Where we're gonna be putting our textures is in Editor, GameD N64, World, Graphics, Textures. Now, make sure you make a new folder with the name of your level. I'll just name my level tutorial. We're going to be putting our TGAs inside of here. There we go. And while you're at this, by the way, make sure to go to levels and make the same type of folder for the level files that you will be exporting from 3ds Max later on. The next thing that you'll need, and this is a very important thing, you'll have it here inside of the archive that I will be giving in a download. Right here, plug max modexport.dle. This is a plugin that gives you the ability to export models from 3ds Max 8 to a .mod, which is the format that is used by the CPA engine editor to have levels loaded. We're going to be copying this, and we're going to be putting that in the directory of 3ds Max 8. So wherever you put 3ds Max 8, wherever you installed it, put it in Autodesk 3ds Max 8, find a folder called plugins, and paste the plugin here. But of course I already had that plugin before, but I'll just replace it anyway, because why not? And there we go. And now that we're done with that, we can finally move on to 3ds Max. Now that we are in 3ds Max 8, what you'll need to do is import each of the models / objects that you've exported from Blender. And of course, make sure under here that you choose OBJ instead. It won't show them. There they are, right here. One thing to mention, if you're working in a newer operating system like Windows 11 or Windows 10, clicking on this right up here, right, that will crash 3ds Max. So don't do that. Just press on this back icon if you want to go back and click on the folders you want. OBJ importer, make sure that the import options are on single, not multiple. Do not use materials, because either way the materials will not be properly imported. From Blender at least. We have our first object, but we're not going to do anything with it yet. We're going to be importing the C, same settings. Import. Sky, right here, and okay. Now what's important to do is to look at the front view right here, because the front view is basically going to be the starting view of your level within the editor. So this perspective sadly does not work for us, so we have to rotate it up here. Select and rotate. So yeah, select everything. We're going to be rotating it like so. We're holding left click. I think that's good enough. Like I said in the beginning, make sure to move your Rayman spawning point at the very middle here. So we're going to be doing that by pressing select and move right here. After we properly position everything, now it's time to add the textures, which we'll be doing by clicking these 4 balls right here, and it will open a window for us here, the material editor. What we're going to have to do for all the materials, we're going to have to click on this blue ball right here with the arrow, get material, and now you have to click multi / sub object. You can just keep the window up and do the same for the other ones, like that. We're going to be removing all of these until there's only one left, like I did so for this one. Like that, like so. We're going to be going to material 25. We're going to be renaming these, by the way. We're going to go to diffuse here and click on this little gray box. Bitmap right here in the new open window, and now we're going to search for our converted textures, our TJ textures, which are here, editor, game DN64, world, graphics, textures, and we're going to find our tutorial folder, which should be at the very bottom right here. And there it is, tutorial. And we're going to be selecting one of our textures here. So let's select wood for the platforms. We're going to be renaming map 1 here to wood 2. The reason for that is because we're going to be renaming this one right here to wood 1. And this, as the main material, to just wood, like this. Make sure the names for your textures do not have a single space, or else the level will not be exported properly. And now that we all have our textures set, we're going to be putting them on our objects. Before we do so, one important thing that you'll have to do, you'll have to name each of your objects SECT, sect, or sector. For every single one of these objects, you're gonna have to add a number on them like this: sect 01, sect 02 for the platforms right here, and for the C here, sect 03. This is very important because you won't be able to properly export your level if you don't name these sectors and a number next to them, because we will be linking these to things called dummies later on. Now what we're gonna have to do is go back to our materials, add our materials to our object. So we're gonna go sector 2 is the wood. We're gonna be importing the sea next. Right here, we're just gonna be dragging it here. And the sky. There we go. So now we have our level textured. The good way to make sure that you have your textures properly set is to go to rendering up here, render, and you don't even need to change any of these settings, and just render. As you can see, it's all been properly imported, but don't mind these weird black things. That's just an issue with 3ds Max save itself. It's not gonna look like that when you put it in the editor, trust me. And for the sky as well, as you can see, the sky has been imported. Yeah, there's a weird thing here that happens, and I have no idea why this happens, by the way. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to be selecting everything. We're going to be clicking on this square icon that, if we hover over it, it's called hierarchy. Affect pivot only. Make sure you have pivot selected right here. Affect pivot only. Center to object. And now we're going to be going to the hammer icon here, utilities. Click on reset X form and reset selected. This will make sure that the orientation of your level within the editor is properly set. And now comes the final part of the 3ds Max process, which is adding the dummies. The dummies help with properly positioning the level inside of the editor. Click on this duct tape icon right here called helpers. Click on dummy here, and we're gonna go to the very middle right here. We're going to create our very first dummy, like so. Depending on the amount of object you have in your level, you have to create the same amount of dummies because we're going to be linking them all to them. We're going to be creating another one here and another one here, like so. What you're going to do is rename all these dummies to the appropriate sectors you want to link them to. We're going to be renaming the first one right here. Instead of dummy 01, it's going to be called SCT 01. So instead of sector, we're going to call them SCT. This one's going to be called SCT02 and SCT03. So again, depending on how many objects you have, that is how many dummies you have to create. Now that we're done with that, we can press H on the keyboard to make sure that we have everything set and ready. SCT01, SCT02, SCT03, Sect01, Sect02, and Sect03. Everything seems to be in order. And now, to make sure that everything works properly and that the position and the orientation of the level is also set properly, we're going to be selecting the dummies like we did with the objects. And we're going to go back to hierarchy here, doing the same thing we did for the objects. Affect pivot only, center to object, reset X form, it's already been clicked here, and reset selected. And now that we've done that, we can finally link our object. We click on this little icon here next to the back and forward arrows called select and link. Click on one of our objects here. Let's click on the sky, which is sector 1. Press H, and we're gonna select the dummy we want to connect it to, which in this case, because this is Sect01, we're gonna connect it to SCT01 and link. We're gonna do the same for Sect02 with SCT02. Link, same for the C, Sector 03. Press H again, click on SCT03 and link. We're gonna press H again to make sure that everything is connected like so. SCT01 is connected to Sect01, SCT02 is connected to Sect02, and SCT03 is connected to Sect03. Now that we're done with that, we can say that we have properly set up everything in order to properly convert and export our level to the proper format for the editor, which is .mod. we can finally export it. Now, go into your CPA editor, Game DN64, World, Levels, and click on the folder that you made previously. Click on Save as Type, select .mod, and name your export the same as the folder. We're gonna save. It's gonna pop up with this weird dialog box, but this doesn't really matter. Just press OK. And if you did everything in 3ds Max correctly, it's going to say this: mod export, file exported to the location we selected. And now that we're done with that, we have to add scripts to our level so it will properly work in the editor. And now that might sound bad for people that don't know how to code, but you don't need to worry about that. We're gonna be going into that right away, and it's very simple, trust me. Now we're gonna have to go into the apply folder here in the CPA editor folder. We're gonna go to Max23DOS. This is the application that will be needed to properly create the scripts and everything needed for the level to work inside of the editor. Debug and win_m23d. Now, this is the first thing you will get once you load up the application on your computer. And don't worry about this, just do what it says right here. The directory game data does not exist. Directory raw data does not exist because we need to choose the directory. We're gonna press OK. And now we're going to be setting the raw data folder and the game data folder. Now, the game data folder is actually the game DN64 folder, which we will be directing this to. CPA editor, and click on game DN64. OK. Now we're going to do the same for game data, CPA editor, and game data, like so. Once you've done that, go to General Options down here and click on Rayman 2. After that, click on Selection at the very top of the window right here. Click on Levels right here. And if everything so far went well, you will see your level name inside the list here. Once we have that clicked, we're going to go into here with conflict information, zones and collisions, and other stuff like that. You don't need to worry about any of this, just make sure you select these last two options for the editor. And now, press Convert. It depends on how big your level is for the entire process to complete, and sometimes you might get the case where you'll be asked questions to create like another file in a separate game DN64 tree or something like that. Just press no on all those questions and it will still do the same exact thing. So now, we have our level properly converted. Our next task is actually going inside the editor and checking the level for ourselves. Go to the editor folder, click on init map right down here. We're going to choose tutorial down here, and we're going to press OK. Depending on your computer speed, it might take a while to load up the level and everything, but don't worry, it's just the editor. Now don't worry when you get this error. This error is related to waypoints, which we'll be actually dealing with later on within the editor. Now when you get this question asked, make sure you press no and delete all the first time you're loading the level after converting it. The other times you press no all. So for now we're going to press no and delete all. And as you can see right here, our level has been properly converted. Albeit I feel like we've put it a little bit too high up for Rayman right here. But we don't need to worry about that. We're going to be putting Rayman up here by holding left click and dragging him all the way up here. The editor can be very complex. I'll probably make more videos on how to use this editor. For now, we're just going to try and make the level playable. So what I've been using here to move the camera was this little hand icon right here. We're going to be holding left click to move it, hold right click while holding left click to rotate. Now we're going to be selecting our little array boy here, which has that weird costume for some reason. We're going to be right clicking him, edit actors, and set as initial position. to make sure that this is where he spawns when we load the level for the first time. So now once we're done with positioning Rayman properly, if you needed to do that, we're going to be pressing this little red pyramid icon right here, which is called waypoint. These waypoints are absolutely necessary. These will basically be telling Rayman what way he has to go within the level, because keep in mind, we're making Rayman Raving Rabbids DS levels. We're not making Rayman 2 yet. We have discovered some options for Rayman 2, but for now, we're going to be making ones for Raving Rabbids DS, which is a 2.5D game. So we have to have waypoints to tell Rayman what path he can take, forwards or backwards. Before we add any waypoints, we're going to be going over here, down here in the bottom left corner, network to edit. On the graph name right here, click insert, make a new graph, and call it whatever you want, to be honest, but because it's related to the player, we're going to be calling it player. And now we can properly add the waypoints. Normally the first waypoint should be on the first platform, but the issue with having the waypoint here is that you will get an error if you actually interact with it. So I recommend you actually have the first ever starting waypoint a little bit out of reach for Rayman, just to make sure he doesn't hit it. Maybe moving a little bit back still, like this. Yeah, we're gonna be renaming it right here to DS1 starts. This isn't really needed or necessary, but I'm just gonna keep it there just in case. We're gonna be creating a second waypoint for Rayman to go, and since let's see how far he has to go in a straight line, we're gonna be changing the camera angle right about here. So we're gonna go down here. We're gonna properly this. Now we're gonna add another waypoint that this waypoint will be connected to, and we're gonna create that one, let's say over here, when the camera angle changes again. So now that we have that waypoint, we can have another waypoint here. And now finally, for the ending waypoint, which will be out of Rayman's reach, unless you wanted to go to another level, which we'll be looking at in other videos. If you guys want more tutorials like this, say that you want more. This tutorial is basically just how to make a basic level playable, how to have custom geometry in it. If you want a more detailed explanation of how to use the editor itself after you made your level playable, just to tell me in the comments below, alright? So, because we made that waypoint, I actually forgot. We're going to click on it again, and we're going to be renaming that to end instead of waypoint 4. Once we have all of our waypoints properly placed, we're going to be going down here again, network to edit, and nodes, while having DS1 player selected. We're going to insert, and now we're going to be selecting all of our waypoints and pressing OK. Now let's first click on starts. We're going to have to make sure that our waypoints connect to each other in a way. So we're going to connect start here to DS1 waypoint 1. We're going to click on waypoint 1, connect that to start and waypoint 2, so we can actually go back. Waypoint 2 to waypoint 1 and free. Waypoint free to waypoint 2 and end. And waypoint end just to waypoint free. Now that we have all of that connected, we can click on DS1 player here, right click here on our level, and press show all links. It will show the path that Rayman can take. So as we can see here, our little waypoints right here are a little bit messy. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off camera view here, and we're going to be actually moving our waypoint here just to make sure that our path is good. We're going to be moving it down here. Hopefully that is good enough for us right here. In order to actually properly see some waypoints that may be a bit out of reach, as well as some of the links here, you're going to have to click on this red square with the green outline called render. And instead of having it textured, we're going to have it in ghost mode, or how it has under here, grinded, I don't know. Like this, we can actually see our links completely, as well as all of the waypoints that we've added. So we're gonna select this waypoint, and we're just gonna move it a little bit over here. So, question. I don't mind. You'll get that question if you put a waypoint outside of the map. in this black dark void. Don't worry about it. You won't get many issues with that, if at all. It just asks because it's outside the boundaries of the level. That's the main point, actually, to have it outside the boundaries, so we won't be able to hit it and kill the level. We're going to move these a little bit just to make sure that the path Rayman can take is actually on these platforms. So now I think we are done with the waypoints. The waypoints have been properly placed. Exit the waypoint editor. And now the next place we will need to go is the sector editor right here. That has the CD icon. With this, we will be able to make sure that the collision is properly set up. So now it's selected to SCT1. And on the bottom here, with selected sector, we're going to move this a little bit right here. We have graphic, collision, activity, sound, and sound events. What is most important in terms of playability is these first three options: graphic, collision, and activity. We have to also make sure that other sectors can have other sectors visible to them, which is what we're doing right now. As you can see, after I select these three options, I'm able to just click on all of these sectors once, which means according to sector 1, every other sector is visible. We're going to double click on all these other sectors and do the same for them. So we're going to click once on SCT01, it'll turn green, SCT03, and universe. Same thing for SCT03, universe, SCT01, and SCT02, and universe, SCT03. So now we have all of our collisions and graphics set. We can exit out of this. Now we need to click on this little ghost dude icon right here. It's the actors menu. And right here on the left, you'll see a bunch of options. Click on world, right click, preload models for family world, right click again, and show preloaded objects. The one that we will need to even run the level is KWN_RayLevelInit. We're going to double click that to be able to activate it. Once you can see the play button right here is green, we're able to go to this icon right next to the ghost dude. And once we did that, down here, among all the other options, we will have KWN_RayLevelInit. All these other objects are used for lighting and cameras and even lamps as well. As you can see, we also have the waypoints here. These are not needed at the moment. If you want a further explanation on what these things are, tell me if you want more tutorials like this, and I'll be sure to, I guess, make them. We're gonna put KWN_RayLevelInit over here. You'll be prompted this. You can just press OK. You can actually place this anywhere in the level and it'll still work properly. But it's also kind of funny how like a lot of these objects actually use add from tonic trouble. Yeah, it's just really funny to me. We're gonna have to click on add right here, and we're gonna have to click on the little ghost dude again, the actors. And as you can see, DS1_KWN_RayLevelInit has been selected right here. Now we're gonna go down here into editor's control and click on var display/hide variables. As you can see, a bunch of options appear down here, and these are very important. These options, all the way from this to end map, are all for these first two. We're going to be selecting DS1_player that we have made in the waypoints options. These two are to indicate the start of a level, so we're going to have to select DS1 start as our starting waypoint, and end map, of course, here as the ending of the level. So we're going to have DS1 end for both of these. And now we're actually almost done with having our level fully playable. So the last thing we'll actually have to do is the ambient lighting right here. If you don't have any ambient lighting in the scene, Rayman will appear completely dark. Like, it'll be just like if he was in a dark room, but everything else is lit up. It's a weird thing, but yeah. I'm going to press this little icon with the sun and moon, called light. And now we have ambient right here, just like we did in the other options. The reason why we clicked on this is because we'll have more options right here once we place ambient right here. We can place it literally anywhere in the level, just like RayLevelInit. Some more options popped up on the left right here. So what you need to do to have Rayman fully visible, down here where it says SCT1, click on all, just so it actually affects the entire level and not just Rayman. And now go up here where it says actor, and click on. So now we can go back here. We can save our level, because we added Ray level in it and other stuff in this level now, you'll be asked these questions to add in a parallel game DN64 tree. Just press no on all of them. Just no, no, and no. And if you did it correctly, we're going to do it again. It's going to say save complete. And now we're actually done. We have our level. Now, the way you would normally start a level is that you would press the Ed button right here, coincidentally, which is short for editor. It's the start engine button. But we're not going to do that right now. The first time you actually open up a level and add all of this stuff in, it will give you an error. You'll actually need to restart the editor. We're going to close, because we already saved it. Double click on Edit Map again. Click on our tutorial here and press OK. And if everything works properly, we should have our level fully playable. And there we have it. Our level in Rayman Raving Rabbids technically. This is a custom level running in the CPA engine for Rayman Raving Rabbids DS and Rayman 2. Hopefully this worked for you. If you want more tutorials like these, please tell me in the comments and tell me what you want to know more about this. Tell me, like, you want to know how to add lums or like certain effects, or how to, like, let's say how to add enemies, or how to die, or how to do certain other functions. Like, that's all possible within this. So if you guys want that, just tell me in the comments and I'll try to make a tutorial based on that later on. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Hopefully, like I said, it all worked for you, and I'll see you, I guess, in the next video. Look at Rayman b-balling. See y'all, bye bye.